Hello and welcome back to Equal Beats, a podcast from Alpha Theta where we speak to the world's leading music industry professionals to find out exactly how they do what they do. With this podcast, we aim to demystify the music industry, spark fresh ideas, reimagine its future, and inspire you to carve out your own path, both within the music industry and beyond. I'm your host, Kika Lomo, and today we're going to explore the role of managers, agents, and labels. These days, being an artist is about much more than making music. Behind every successful career, there's a team of bookers, managers, and labels helping artists find opportunities, build connections, and keep things moving. But what are their roles? When is the right time to bring them on board? And how do you build the right team? In this episode, we'll dig into all of this and more to find out what it takes to grow and sustain a career in music. Today, let's welcome Maria May, an absolute titan in the music industry. She spent over a decade shaping electronic music as we know it today, working with CAA to represent the likes of David Guetta, Paul Kalkbrenner, Marlon Hofstad, and Sara Landry, to name a few. Maria has redefined the way we experience electronic music, helped popularize the genre around the world, and taken her artists to new heights. She's also passionately committed to advancing equity and inclusion within club culture, sitting on the board of Lady of the House, a female-led collective that amplifies women's contributions to the dance music industry. And this year, in 2025, Maria was the first woman ever to be awarded the IMS Legends Award. Today, she's going to tell us all about her role as a booking agent and share her wisdom from decades of looking after a huge range of artists. We'll hear about her experience as a forthright and driven woman in music and the impact of winning one of the world's most respected awards in our industry. Maria, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Good to have you. Good to have you. I would love to know more about the context behind your early days as a raver. Word on the street is you were very into your free parties and DIY rave scenes back in the day. And when you were growing up in London, you were very much integrated. These parties have a really strong values connected to community. And I'm wondering if this has stayed with you throughout your career in music.
I mean, the children of acid house, there's many of us in music, and I think quite a lot of us still extol those values to this day.
Yeah.
Community, connection, music.
What were those early days like raving?
I don't know. I think it was brand new days. I mean, none of us really understood what we were experiencing when we were experiencing it.
Yeah.
We also felt like we were rebelling massively. Like the whole of London, it was like you left school and you got a job in a bank and you had to wear a suit and a tie. And I definitely didn't want to do that. And I thought that working in music was a way to avoid the 9 to 5. Yeah. It's funny how I've worked even harder. But the reality is that we all were in quite a difficult situation in this country in terms of recession. There were no jobs. People were leaving uni, signing straight on. There was nothing to do. It was pretty bleak for a young person. Yeah. And I don't know, the first party I went to was in someone's garden in somewhere near Uxbridge.
That's where I live. Big up Uxbridge.
And actually, my mum lived in Ickenham for many years. So anyway, so I know the area well. But it was in this house just before they built the motorway. So it was a party in a house before they knocked it down and built the motorway that's there now. Yeah. And I remember hearing Voodoo Ray for the first time. I think I must have been about 14 or 15. And it changed my life.
I can imagine just the impact. I remember when I first heard electronic music in the context of a club and a rave and just feeling such an incredible sense of connection with everyone around me and not really fully understanding what it was and not even really knowing what the industry was, but knowing that I wanted to be in this environment for a very long time.
Yeah, it was an instinct that it was good for you.
Yeah, 100%. What made you want to decide to become an agent? What exactly was it about the role that appealed to you?
I was just told I should be an agent, actually, because obviously I'd worked for a band for a long time and their agent, and they were a rock band called The Levellers, UK rock folk band. And their agent told me that I should be a dance music agent because I knew about dance music. I mean, it was really tenuous knowing about dance music. I'd been to a lot of parties and I had a boyfriend that ran free parties all over the south of England. And I suppose I did know a bit more about dance music than he did.
Yeah. I mean, you got to take it where it comes. Take it where it comes, you know? Take the opportunities as they present themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And coming from within the free party scene, what were your early interactions with agents, managers and labels?
There wasn't any.
There weren't?
No. I mean, the music, the established music scene in the sort of 90s was guitar music.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, you know, when I ended up being given a job as an agent at a company called ITB with a guy called David Levy, and I was, you know, given Paul Oakenfold as a client, and then Morales and Knuckles. It was a unique moment in kind of the evolution of the business of dance music. There were very few agents. There weren't any women agents at that moment. There possibly was in Europe that I wasn't aware of, but certainly in the UK. We started treating clients like Paul Oakenfold as if they were superstar DJs. I mean, that's where it was all coined from. We fought promoters on billing. We did residency deals before they were done. And with Paul Oakenfold, I learned how to be an agent on him. And we kind of made it up as we went along. And then he was touring with U2. And, you know, he was headlining every festival. And then he was a resident at Cream. And it just all started to go. There was lots of other artists, but specifically Paul was extremely talented and really rode the wave of that moment in the music industry.
I was going to say, were there any kind of notes that you were taking from like the rock industry, you know, more of the guitar music that you were applying?
Well, we were trying to get our artists to be treated in the same way. I mean, we all know that in the late 80s and 90s, vinyl sales of dance music was outstripping the sales of rock and roll music in the charts.
Yeah.
And Pete Tong was the only person that was playing this music, I think originally on Capital Radio. And we used to tune in and everyone used to tape it on their cassette decks to hear the dance tunes that he was playing in order to be able to play it the week later. This is sort of analog era. Fast forward from sort of the early 90s to the mid-90s when I was doing this job, we were fully aware that the amount of money to be made in dance music and no one in the mainstream music industry cared. They really weren't interested. So we just quietly did what we did. We built the business. We went to lots and lots of amazing parties. We met a lot of amazing people. And on the record side, people were selling serious amount of vinyl over the counter.
Yeah. An exciting time to be involved, like to be able to shape the future of what the industry looks like. And I mean, you've played such a massive role in shaping what the role of agents look like, specifically in electronic music.
Yeah.
Would you say that the role has morphed a lot since your early days?
I mean, the job now, what we do now as agents is like night and day compared to what I was doing back in. I mean, one of my jobs when I first started was to go to as many parties as possible.
Not a bad job to have, eh?
This was before mobile phones and email. So you kind of got away with it. There was no one chasing you. You could go to Miami Music Conference in sort of 95 and you didn't come back to 3,000 emails.
Yeah.
We did all our deals on fax machines. Literally, we used to write back on the faxes and send them back saying this show is confirmed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a night and day difference. And literally I was encouraged to be out there in the scene as much as possible. And in those days, it was a very close-knit group of probably 50 or maybe 75 people that just somehow ended up at the same parties all over the world. It was a lot of fun.
I can imagine. I mean, just to spell it out for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, what is the difference between an agent, a manager, and a label?
Okay, so an agent predominantly looks after, and you know, in the old days would just be booking live shows. So this is now, you know, they'd be booking live gigs for bands, and now it's an agent will book the live career of a DJ. We do a little bit more than that now in terms of film work or book deals or branding or, you know, private shows. And there's many sort of conduits to that in terms of artist service, client service that we can provide to artists that we work with. But in the most part, that is what we're doing. We're planning and strategizing a live career, which then, you know, helps and influences other aspects of an artist's career. A manager probably is one of the people that believes in you first, I would say, although that's changing as well now. A manager may introduce you to an agent. A manager may introduce you to, hopefully, a lawyer before you sign the deal with the manager. A manager would also introduce you to record companies, and hopefully, in partnership with your manager, the old way of doing it, although lots of these models are different now, a manager would do a record deal with you or a publishing deal with you and be your partner to be the business side of what you do, so you can be an artist. And oversee all aspects of your business, all facets of it. And then a label predominantly puts out your music for you. Although that model is changing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, times are changing. Fast
absolutely.
and hard. Fast and hard.
Yeah.
At what point would you say a artist should consider getting an agent or a manager?
I would say when the number of inquiries, well, for an agent, I would say you'll know when it's time to get an agent when you're getting inundated with inquiries directly to the point where you can't manage it.
Yeah.
And you're just booking shows and you're just booking them into a diary, and you're not thinking, like, there has to be a strategy with live. And usually we work on a 2 or 3 year strategy on every client. So whatever you do this summer factors on what happens next summer, and by next summer you're at this point and we're aiming to be at this point by summer 3, so on and so on. Manager, I think often lots of managers will come to you if you're talented, if you're making great music, if you're part of a scene, you're going to get asked by people to represent you. When should you get a manager? When you should get a manager is when you realise your skill set is not enough to really navigate yourself through this kind of, when you're a young artist, all of these terms seem quite overwhelming and you don't really know who to talk to or who the right people to talk to. If it's a good manager, they should be an addition to they should be a partner with you that actually help you navigate that. I would say to any young artist, if your career is starting to really go, possibly getting a lawyer first would be a good move.
What makes you say that?
Because lawyers are amazing at introducing artists to agents and to managers, and also making sure you don't sign anything that's not great for you. Because if you are successful, those early deals that sometimes you've signed potentially because you just wanted to work, or you were maybe pressurised into doing so because someone was rushing you, let's say.
Yeah.
Can have a detrimental effect. So I would say a lawyer first. I think lawyers they're expensive, but lots of lawyers work with young artists in a really good way in the beginning until they start earning good money. So I would say, see if a lawyer's interested in working with you or representing you first.
Some good advice. And I'm like, taking it on board, you know? How would you suggest an artist go about finding an agent that suits them? And on the flip side, for you as an agent, what are you looking for in an artist? How do you go about choosing your roster?
Oh, it's different. I mean, it's definitely changed over the years. I mean, back in the day, I'd hear something in a club and I'd be like, what is that? And someone would say, oh, that's blah, blah. And I'd find them. Yeah. And I'm like, I love that record. I have to work with you. That happens less and less now. I actually do still find some things on the internet. But I do go on the wormholes a lot with music, obviously, because I'm ultimately in this because I love music.
So let's get into that a little bit more about recommending artists get a lawyer first. How do you actually go about finding a lawyer?
It sounds really big, doesn't it? I suppose if you're a young actor, like, how would I start with that? I mean, to be honest with you, I've been surprised by the amount of lawyers that have approached me about clients, and these clients are in the very early parts of their career. And I think there's a lot of lawyers out there that are actively wrecking music and looking at stuff that they could be working with. I think they have a competitive industry as well, and working with artists from early days builds loyalty, doesn't it?
100%.
Right? So there is a list of lawyers. I think it's quite easy to Google these days, especially with AI, which artist, whose lawyer, who represents these artists. And honestly, there's a core of probably 6 to 10 London lawyers that are predominantly music. And I think it's fair to say they work with artists from the underground stage to the mega artists that exist in the scene. I don't think it's going to be as hard as it sounds.
Yeah, a little bit of
to
Google
do
can
a
go
little
long way.
a little bit of investigative work on like, you know, if you like certain artists, wondering who reps them. So yeah, I mean, that's a good thing to do. I used to always be fascinated by who's the manager, who's the agent, who's the lawyer of artists when I was, you know, a younger agent. And I don't think it's a bad thing for artists also to check that stuff out and have an opinion on it.
100%. And I mean, going to that, how does a artist go about finding the right agent for them? And on the flip side, what would you say you're looking for as an agent, and how do you go about choosing your roster?
I work for a major agency. So I would say if you think you should be represented by CAA, it's a statement of intent. I'll flip that question and I'll say often when people come to us and say we want you to represent us, the first thing I'll ask for is touring history and release schedule and music. Even if an act isn't massive yet, we do sign acts that are at the beginning of their career. That would be a lie if I said we didn't. But in the most part, when you come to CAA, you are ready for the next level.
Yeah.
And I would say there are a lot of underground booking agencies that do a really great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of you treading the ropes for a bit and getting experience as much as possible. You can do it yourself as well on a local level before you get signed.
Yeah.
There are opportunities for young artists to find shows in their local areas and build, you know, a fan base.
Yeah. And what should artists be looking for in an agent?
Whether or not you trust them. And I suppose that's hard for a young artist to know, you know, the difference.
Yeah.
Certainly my client signing meetings now often are not anything to do with what we're going to do. It's about whether the connection that I have with the client and the client has with me or the artist has with me, how well we get on, whether we actually see eye to eye. I am an extremely honest agent, and I'm definitely not one of those agents that kind of does that thing which you hear about where people sort of say all this stuff to artists. I'm going to make you famous. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm much more practical.
Yeah.
I've been in music for 30 years. To me, it's a career. And so it's not about like, you know, I'm going to make you the biggest acts in the world. It's about with this music that you're putting out, what would you like to do with it? It's a partnership. It's a creative endeavor together. How would you like that to be portrayed? Where would you like to play? It's like, it's questions to the artist. Oh, that's interesting. Have you thought about this? And that's where my experience comes in. Oh, have you thought about maybe this venue? Or why don't you think about doing it this way? Or why don't we starve the market for 3 months and then come back with some shows? There's various different ways of how you can do this with clients. I'm thinking of clients that we have signed over the years where we've just heard the demos and we've just been like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So again, it's down to the music.
Down to the music. But I guess
the quality of the music.
Yeah.
But then that requires someone to hear it and really get it and have a conversation with you about why they love it.
Yeah.
I really am. I think it should always be about the music. And if you're having meetings with professionals who are talking about the function of their purpose and they're not telling you once and seriously discussing 2 or 3 aspects of one of your records where there was a bridge that they loved or the chorus or this or that's how or the music made them feel a certain way, then you shouldn't be working with these people.
Yeah.
Because you've got to love the music. It's so important and it gets so lost in everything because possibly people care about being successful over being a quality artist. And I've repped artists for 30 years and some of their albums haven't been as successful as their other albums and some of their tours haven't been as successful as their other tours. But a career is a zigzag line. Some artists get the whole, you know, vertical.
Yeah.
But a real career is a zigzag.
Yeah.
And you need people around you with you on the peaks of the zigzag and the lows of the zigzag.
Yeah.
People that really believe in you and the sounds that you're making, and also believe in what you think about.
Yeah.
It's human connection again, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh,
and
well.
it's funny, when I was starting to look for an agent, people gave me a bunch of advice, talk to some of the other artists on their roster, check the roster to see if the sound suits yours, have those conversations about like, okay, your sound, what makes sense for, the direction and, bringing goals to them that you want to achieve. One of the other biggest parts of advice that I got was that a bad agent is worse than no agent. Would you agree? What are the repercussions of a bad agent?
I would agree, because we often see artists that are upset because they've been represented for a while and nothing's happened. So they've believed the sales story and then for whatever reason, this hasn't happened, so they've plugged all their hopes into what's going to happen and it doesn't happen. There's often many reasons for things not happening.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's better to be on your own.
Yeah.
I feel the same about management as well, actually.
Yeah.
I actually think when it's time, someone will stick their head above the parapet who is worth working with. Again, it goes back to all this stuff that I talk about constantly, is about really, really understanding your value.
Yeah.
And your worth. I just wanted to say one thing as well about, I do think be careful with signing with an agent who's got loads of acts that sound like you.
Yeah. Okay.
We see this a lot. We see lots of agencies that seem to specialise in one sound. And I think when you're growing up and you get all the favour gigs where you're playing before the big headliner, initially that's a great strategy when you're starting out with maybe an underground agency. But after a while, there's someone else who's brand new that comes along and they get all the slots. And then before you know it, everybody on this agency is fighting for the number 2 slot or and it's 6 of the same acts with the same agent. So ultimately the agent can only please one of those artists by getting that artist into that slot. And I think you find, and we see regularly, artists who are disappointed by this approach because they're not getting what they want. I know it's great being on a roster with a crew and like you're all hanging out and you're playing on the same parties. I think it's important to think about being outside of that crew and bigger than the sound as well.
Yeah.
Because that's how you build a unique artist career that isn't based on a group of people.
What would you say are the repercussions of having a bad agent? Can they damage an artist's career?
I think they can slow it down. I think if an artist is good and the music's great, I don't know. Damage is a harsh word. I think you could probably slow down the process a little bit. You might miss some milestones. Let's say you have a track that's doing really great and then no one books you any shows, so you miss the exposure.
Yeah.
If you're good, you can come back for anything. If the quality of your performance or of your music is amazing, even if you get delayed on the way, I mean, isn't life like that?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can still get there.
Yeah. What about for a manager or a label? What can be the impact of picking the wrong one?
Well, I think you could sign a deal with a manager that's quite heavy. Maybe the sunset clauses are awful, so you can't leave, or you have to keep paying all your income for a while. Those things do happen. Agents don't really have contracts with their clients, so the clients can leave at any time. So, which is great for the clients, but it's also down to that old school kind of vibe where if it's not working, we should part ways.
Yeah.
Right? But managers do have contracts with their clients, and, there can be dodgy situations that happen for young artists who don't know what they're doing, which again means always take legal advice.
Yeah.
Before you sign anything.
Absolutely. I mean, what can artists do to avoid getting into those situations? Are there any warning signs that they should be looking out for?
Well, I think you don't find out until things go wrong, do you?
Yeah.
Especially with these management contracts.
Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, I don't hate managers. I just want to be clear about this. What do you hear about agents that are bad? Do you hear that they didn't book the tour, they didn't pick up the phone, they gave the slot to the other client on their roster, that they made mistakes, right? But I think it's different from being in a contract with someone then needs a lawyer to sort it all out afterwards. So be careful what you sign in the upfront.
Yeah. Any questions that you should be asking prospective managers or agents?
Well, what's your commission rate?
Definitely.
I mean, they're pretty standardised, aren't they? in the most part.
Yeah. What's the standard for those who don't know?
In my opinion, I think agents are normally 10%.
Yeah.
And I think managers are 20%.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a negotiable feast, isn't it? A lot of artists get these rates negotiated and to suit them better.
Mm-hmm. On the flip side, what can a good manager and a good agent do for an artist?
A good manager is your business partner. Your manager is also then a partner with your agent in business. You know, a great manager can really drive your career strategy with all of the main people that you're working with and monetize things better, budget things better, organize things better, and really, really form a strategy and a plan and allow you, if you are going to become really successful, to be the creative human being that you are. And then they can just take care of all the other side of the business. I think a good agent can be the difference between you ending up headlining a festival and you being second or third on the bill.
Okay. What does it take to be a good agent? Asking all the tough questions today.
What does it take to be a good agent? I think we see a lot of agents signing too many acts. I think having the time and space to build your artist, to ultimately, agents are salespeople.
Yeah.
We are literally telling every promoter that we meet how amazing these clients are and why they should book them. And then over a 30-year career, the promoter of said festival trusts me because he has had so many successes with me over the years that they know this act that I'm kicking off about is going to explode. So they give me the slot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reputation is a good thing. I've had a lot of very successful artists on my roster over the last 30 years, and all the promoters that have bought into them have then gone on to have success with them. So I honestly think you've just got to love the music.
Yeah.
If you're good enough, you know what to do with it.
100%. On the topic of successful artists, in a previous interview, you mentioned that David Guetta needed to find an agency that will take him to where he's going. Mm-hmm. And that turned out to be CAA. How did you take David to where he needed to go? And what did he need from his agency in the moment just before his career blew up?
Well, I was aware of what was going on with all the records. And he was just, you know, I knew all about the Black Eyed Peas collabs. And like, we just kind of, this album, when we first got it, once he'd done all the collabs with all the major artists, I think me and his manager, Caroline Prothero, is another woman who never gets any credit, but she's not working with him anymore, but she's an amazing manager. Amazing. We sat in her car, I think we were outside God's Kitchen or something, Global Gathering in Birmingham, and we must have played it 10 times. We were like, should we go in the festival? No, let's play that album. Because we were literally going, oh my God, that track, that track, that track, that track. It was so clear from the music that David was going to explode globally with this music. That I hadn't heard anything like it before, ever. So what does it take? I mean, hits help.
Definitely.
For sure. But not all artists have hits and have amazing careers as well. So going back to your question, wanting David Guetta to be at CAA or a bigger agency that matched his aspirations was really the key. He wanted to be the biggest DJ in the world. He said that to me. Mm-hmm. And so I felt that his representation needed to have the kind of reputationally strength of purpose of building global superstars, because that's what he wanted to be.
And how did you get him there?
How did I get Dave? I don't know. I think it was a mixture of magic and love and hard work. I mean, instinct.
Yeah.
I think because I'd worked with Paul Oakenfold in the 90s, and then I was lucky enough, I worked with Soulwax and Too Many DJs for about 15 years. I loved working for them. Mm-hmm. And they was at their peak. And I think the experience of doing Paul to a global superstar level, and then those guys, and then David, it was like I learned through Paul, I learned how to do it. Soulwax got massive, and Too Many DJs got massive benefit of it, and then David got loads of benefit from my previous experiences of going through watching an artist somehow connect with a wider audience with a mixture of tunes and then playing out live at the biggest events and building them that way. It just kind of all comes together. And once you're on that kind of magic carpet ride, you've got to know where we're stopping and what we're doing.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? I suppose I've always said that being an agent is it's like you're in the car with the client, and the client's driving and you're reading the map.
Yeah.
So you just got to know where to go.
Where the stops are, where the festivals are.
Yeah, you got to be like, you got to know when to go at 80 miles an hour or at 10 miles an hour.
When to stop for petrol.
Yeah, when to have a break.
Exactly.
Have lunch.
Take the scenic route,
Hang out in Ibiza. I don't know, whatever it is. But I've always kind of had that analogy that the artist drives the car and you read the map.
Okay, fabulous. All right, let's get into the life of a booking agent. What advice would you give to someone that's looking to start out as an agent or a manager for an artist today? Where should they begin?
Well, I definitely think you've got to love music.
Yeah.
I know I keep talking about this, and often you specialise in what you love, don't you? So I've specialised in electronic music, and I was in a more unique time. There was an old school route which you could start in a booking agency, and if you showed booking prowess, then you could kind of, somehow get taken seriously, and then you'd get to book one of the junior bands, and then the band would start breaking, and then they'd take you a bit more seriously. That used to be the very sort of old school, unorganised model. You could also go and work at a boutique agency or an underground agency, especially if you're working with an underground scene, and build your clients that way. And I think that is an aspirational thing to do if you're very young. You think, I want to be a booking agent. I want to work my way up to become an agent in the future. Because I do feel like there's a difference, actually, and I'm sure a lot of people will scorn me for saying this, but I do feel like a real agent at a big power-playing agency is slightly different in a way from an underground booking agent. An underground booking agent is so immersed in their scene. They're out in it, they're living it, they're breathing it, they love it. They often younger. This is changing. There are underground amazing booking agencies with people my age running them. So, but the more corporate route, and that's where I've ended up now, is you would either come from a underground booking agency with your, a number of your really super hot clients where you built your reputation. Someone sees something in you and thinks, right, I'm going to give them an option of working at an agency. And then the other career path is it takes much longer, but to start as an assistant at a major agency and see if they put you on the accelerator program, or lots of different agencies have different names for that, and see how you do in that and see if you can, work your way up the ladder that way. It is a longer process and it does require a lot more commitment, I'd say.
Okay. And what would you say are the necessary skills to be a good agent?
Well, I definitely think you need to have a good eye for detail.
Yeah.
Like, you need to see things that other people don't see. And that's in terms of numbers, but also crazy things, like noticing that the set time that you've been offered is the same time as the other client before it's a problem on the day. I mean, it sounds old-fashioned, but I honestly am shocked by the amount of people that come through my office and they don't know any geography. Because everybody looks at Google Maps these days and no one knows their way around the UK. Like, where's that? I was like, why don't you know where Liverpool is or whatever? But, certainly in Europe, you need to have an understanding of the global map, as ridiculous as that sounds. So you can map out, I know you can use Google Map, but so you can map out in your head, like, where things are. A curiosity about the world. I mean, one of the big things about what we do is working with promoters. I book all over the world. So it requires me to have patience and understanding for other people who do business differently from English people, good and bad. And also understanding the cultures of the countries and the places, and actually want to experience them as well, because that makes you a better agent. So curiosity would be another amazing skill.
Yeah.
I think being able to manage numbers and figures, and I mean, I'm not saying you need to have an economics degree, although I do like it when people apply for jobs as agents with economics degrees, and I'm like, wow, you want to come and work here? But the reality is that being able to add up, I know it sounds ridiculous to say that, but actually have a good eye for maths and like being accurate in what your input is, I think is important, because I said to you, eye for detail. Putting the wrong currency on a contract can mean the artists lose money.
Yeah.
It can be a very silly mistake. It's a super rookie error. I've done it over the years. Those things are really, really important. And also being able to manage your time well, knowing what's important, knowing what needs to be done today, because if it's not done today on Friday, it's a really big problem. Being able to kind of think about the steps of what you're doing and how it affects the outcome. At the end of the day, an agent does the deal, issues the contract, collects the deposit, and nowadays does so much more about organising social media posts and, you know, checking artwork and all the rest of it. But ultimately, they're the free premises of what you do. And if you don't chase that deposit until the week of the show, you might not get paid. Then you're going to get fired. So being aware of what you're getting yourself into as well. It's kind of not all about staying up till 4 a.m, no matter how nice that is when you're in your 20s and hanging out with clients. I do find a lot of people come in for interviews and they just want to work with acts. And there's a part of me that is because they want to work with famous people. And honestly, this job is not glamorous. And it can be. But really, you know, you're not the star. And so anything that you get to do that's with A-listers or, you know, famous artists, you're there because you have a job there. And then you leave and go home.
Yeah.
And I think people get a bit razzle-dazzled with all of that. And actually, it's a thankless task being an agent, because if there's a problem, it's your fault if you're the agent. Agents get blamed for everything. If it goes badly, it's your fault.
Yeah.
So I think you need to also have a thick skin.
Yeah.
You need to never take anything personally.
What about relationships? Because I feel like that seems to be quite an important part of being an agent, beyond the relationship with your artists or your clients.
Well, yes, I think I do have a lot of strong relationships with people. I used to shy away and actually actively fight against this whole patriarchal, bromancy, boys clubby, everyone playing football together and chatting about the sun, and like everyone kind of sharing their golf tips or whatever it was. I kind of stepped massively out of that. And I would say that did actually affect me getting clients, because I didn't want to play that bloke game, because it was all male managers, all male A&R men, all male lawyers. So I didn't really want to play that game. And then when I got to 30, I had 2 small children to look after. So I couldn't really play that game anymore. But yes, relationships are important. And I think I've always been straight down the line with everybody. So I think a lot of people like working with me because I'm just brutally honest.
Yeah.
Not just the clients, I'm talking about the promoters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Can you describe what the average weeks look like for you as an agent?
I know it sounds like a funny thing to say. Now we have the internet, one is expected to be available 24 hours a day. And now everybody tries to do business on WhatsApp. So you get WhatsApps from people all day on Sunday, which I actually ignore, which winds a lot of people up because they expect you to be available. Average day, I normally wake up quite early, 5 or 6, because my cats wake me up. And I always look at my phone. And I have tried over the years to advise people, don't look at your phone until you've sat in sunlight and done some exercise and drank your water. I always look at my phone. I would be lying if I didn't. And I always see what people are freaking out about overnight, and usually firefight that for first hour. There's usually a manager that wants to speak to me about something super early, normally ones that are in Europe and they're up early and they're an hour ahead of us, so they want to speak. Then I do some exercise because I broke my shoulder and I have to. Then I go into the office and it is now we've got such a big team. It's just like thousands of emails, lots of meetings, lots of video calls, lots of team stuff. It's chaos. I often wonder how we get done what we get done in a day.
Yeah.
I love all these people that are like, I've cleared my inbox. And I'm like, in my whole career, I have never cleared my inbox. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. It's not possible. It's that busy with the amount of clients that we have, the amount of staff on the team, and the amount of things that we have to do. It's kind of cool as well. So everything that we do at this time of year, we're setting up next summer.
Yeah.
We're all, as agents, we're always living in the future. We don't ever get to live in the present because we're always booking a year or 2 years in advance. So I'm always thinking about next January, February, March, April, May, kind of never like existing in August or September now. We're in September now. I'm not even thinking about September. September's done. I booked that 9 months ago.
Yeah.
So my whole kind of, it's like a back to the future moment, like where I'm always kind of in the future.
Yeah.
But I live in the present, but I'm not kind of in the present because I'm always thinking about the future.
Yeah.
So we're always planning miles ahead. And I would say we're having less and less face-to-face meetings with people unless people come in, because everybody wants to do video calls because people don't want to travel. The old days in the 90s of having lunch every day, gosh, they were fun. I actually don't know how we got any work done in the 90s, I've got to be honest. But anyway, yeah, it's a very busy, varied, but it's high pressure.
Yeah.
Because there's such competition now for slots, especially for the younger DJs, the up-and-coming artists. You have to be really on it nowadays. You need to be miles ahead of everybody, and everybody's doing everything earlier and earlier and earlier now in order to get the slots. Competition at festivals in the summer is fierce. There's so many more agents now fighting for their artists. Again, it goes back to relationships. But I always used to say that there's so many pieces of the pie for everybody, but I'm feeling like there's so many artists and so many agents now. It does require you to have kind of some ability to outsmart the competition in order to get your clients what they deserve and need. But I will go back to what I said to you a few moments ago, which is if the artist is good and the music is great, then people will make space for them.
Yeah.
Because they want brand new, not even brand new, they want quality artists on their events. Music lovers that are the festival promoters, the ones that know that good music sells, or the ones that curate things and the event sells out without any lineup, they're always like my favourite kind of people.
Yeah. Fantastic. I would love to hear about your early start in the industry and the allies that supported you. Who has inspired you and helped you along the way as your journey as an agent?
Well, I mean, I'd say my cohort of female women friends who are all friends now. There was a lot of us in the 90s and we grew up in this scene, and a lot of them didn't get any credit for the work that they did behind the scenes. When I won the award in Ibiza at the end of April, I actually listed them in a speech. It was quite moving because all of these women probably should have won the award before me. And yet they've never received any of the credit for the due. So people like Caroline Prothero, who I mentioned earlier, Lynn Cosgrove, Judy Weinstein. The list is so long. I wish I'd brought it with me. Maybe I could dig it out for you because I've got the speech. But there's so many women that deserve credit in the 90s. So those ladies, we were all friends, growing in the business, growing in our careers. You imagine disco version of Sex in the City, maybe, but I don't know. But we all grew up together, and it was funny. We all found each other, and in the most part, we all tried to support each other and help each other, which was amazing. And then I had some male allies, you know. I had David Levy, who was my first boss at ITB. He was incredible for me. He really stuck his neck out for me and made sure that I was safe and that I was treated fairly. Yeah. And it was great.
Speaking of the IMS Legends Award, how was it for you to receive that? Did you did it kind of, was it a surprise to receive it? How did you?
Yeah, I was so perplexed by them ringing me up. They were like, so, we're going to give you, and I was like, okay. I was just like, and I think I rang my boss and I was just like, oh, they've offered me this award. I just told them I'm not going to do it. She's like, phone them back now. I was like, what? Okay. And I don't know why, because I was just like, but I'd always seen the IMS Legends Award as a bunch of blokes that had been like really successful in business and made loads of cash and all hung out together. Sorry, guys. I mean, a lot of these people are my friends, so sorry, guys. But they'd all hung out together.
Yeah.
And kicking and screaming, they kind of modernised to the point, with on all aspects about how they viewed things and did things and but, they'd evolved, let's say, so it's still my friends. But I just saw it as a male, I don't know, I hadn't even imagined, isn't it crazy that a woman would be awarded this award? I just didn't even factor that it would go to a female.
Yeah.
So then obviously it became about, I don't really want this award if it's about how much money I've made, because I've been extremely successful in business for my clients. But I didn't feel like that was worthy of an award.
Why not?
I don't think, who cares how much money you make for clients?
Yeah. But I mean, it's not even just about money. It's about the achievements. And
that award was about, if you look at all the other people, apart from some of the artists, obviously it was really great to win an award, and Carl Cox had won it, and Underworld, I was just a bit like, oh my God, like I'm up there with the axe. I mean, that was kind of cool, I suppose. But no, I don't actually never want an accolade for the money I've made in life. That's a patriarchal thing, in my opinion. I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with making money. I'm very happy about making money for my clients and, for the life I've provided for myself and my 2 kids. But I don't know, maybe I want more. But then they were like, well, it's for all the stuff you do in the background, how you've helped this scene. And I'm like, okay, fine. And on those terms, I'll accept the award, because, and then it moved very quickly for me. Then it became a point of where I was really thinking about, I need to credit all of my peers and all of the women that have come before me. And I read out a list of names from, the woman who ran Strictly to all the female black singers of house music that never really get the credit for them doing, but they're the reason these tunes are so good. All the female vocalists like Jocelyn and Kathy Brown and like all of them, right? I listed all of them, and it just became like a massive moment. It also felt like it was a moment where it really was a reckoning of how far we've come. And I didn't really feel that until I was reading out this speech that I wrote an hour before, by the way. But like when I was reading out the speech and I saw the effect it had on the audience, I was like, oh, this is really important.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre, isn't it? It hadn't occurred to me how important it was for other women. So again, it's really important to credit your peers, support your women. As we rise together. We collectively rise. Yeah. Following the matriarchy model of success, which is a circle rather than a horizontal pole. Mm-hmm. And I actually felt that full force, viscerally felt the model of the matriarchy by doing that in such a public forum. So I was a bit surprised, and I'm still coming to terms with it, if I'm honest. Yeah.
I was there for the speech, actually.
It was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
People
fantastic.
People were moved, weren't they?
I was moved.
I was like, okay.
It was a really special moment. And I mean, I'm curious to know, how else do you go about uplifting and supporting and honouring all the other women all across the music industry?
I talk about women in rooms where their names are not mentioned, always. I big up every single smart, tenacious, successful, lovely, kind woman I come across. Yeah. It's funny today, isn't it? You guys were all bigging me up because you're like, yeah, you look really nice today. But actually, little things like that amongst women is so important, like just commenting on what someone's wearing or asking them if they're okay. Even basic things like that can be helpful to all of us as women. to support each other, and like, I'm connecting with you.
Yeah.
I've suddenly realised people look at me and they see me as this really strong person, and I never ever felt like a strong person. I know I have power, but I've never felt like a strong person, and I think it's really important now to share that with other people.
Yeah.
This vibe
100%.
of being strong in yourself, if you can.
Do you ever suffer from imposter syndrome?
Oh, even doing this, I suffer imposter syndrome. And I did even on the day I was like, of that award, I'm like, I can't accept this. This is too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. I've suffered from it my whole life, and I didn't know what it was. And actually, I've suffered from it where I've been offered jobs and not been able to take them because I had the fear that I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
I've done it a lot over my life, and I find that it's an interesting thing when you start breaking that down, like, why is that? And I do think it's how we are put down as women in society, to be quiet, to not, to accept our lot, to manoeuvre out the way.
Yeah.
All of those things that we kind of like instilled in us from when we're quite small.
Yeah. So how did you overcome that?
I think I learned somehow that actually just say yes to everything no matter what. At one point I just started going, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Yeah. And it actually helped with the anxiety.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, yes, I'll do it. Instead of doing that overthinking, what do people think of me? Oh, cringe, all of that stuff. Now I just say yes. Yeah. That's probably why I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you want to do this podcast? Yes.
Yes.
Instead of going,
go on then.
Yeah. Exactly. Sorry.
When it comes to equality, what would you say is your hope for the future of the music industry? What changes would you like to see?
I feel like we're actually in quite a good place at the moment. So we've got to be careful with that, like going on about how bad it is. And then the world outside of the music industry, the world is feels like it's going backwards for women. I think we need to see more women in boardrooms, because there's a real brain drain. If you look at me compared to my peers, I'm probably last one standing. And so a lot of women leave music at certain points for many reasons, possibly in the past because they didn't get the promotions or the support that they needed to go right to the top, more for those companies who didn't go for a woman at the helm and book their mate that they played golf with, or, rewarded people for failure. Because women don't really do that, do they? They just, if they're being promoted, they're good.
Yeah.
Whereas we see successive stories of men in the music industry that fail and still get promoted.
Yeah. Very
frustrating. I think that's changing as well. But I do think more women in leadership roles and positions of power.
Yeah.
We need more of that. And we need to also find a way for women to stay. If you spent 20 years working in music, your skill set is unique. And for employers to realise that if we lose that skill set, we have to train a whole new set of people. And what we need is to maintain the workforce and look for a way for people to have longevity.
Yeah.
And that means being flexible with women. And maybe that's seen as unfair in a way, but I don't think it is.
Yeah. I feel like one of the common questions or themes that comes up when women are building their careers, not just in music, but across all industries, is almost this ultimatum between family and career. I'm curious, how did you balance being a single parent with building a hugely successful career?
I had a baby and a pillow on the baby while I breastfed and typed. I've got vivid memories of that. And then 6 weeks into having my first daughter, my clients calling me. They couldn't wait any longer.
Wow.
But it was in the days before work from home was a thing. So people didn't really understand that I was working from home. And I just worked from home.
Yeah.
I did have a nanny, which, I basically spent 60 or 70% of my wages on a nanny because an American manager, Judy Weinstein, said, do that. It's an investment in your career. So that's what I did. I had no money for 4 years, but I meant that I could work from home but be around the children when they were small. It did mean a lot of time away from my kids. I did sacrifice that. I do have mum guilt. I think all mums have mum guilt. But I do think about some of their little tear-stained faces where I'm like, I'm off to LA I used to go for a month every year and leave them. So I did not see them sometimes in order to pull it off. I don't know whether that was a good or a bad thing. They seem to have turned out all right.
Which in this day and age can be a bit of a Russian roulette, right?
But I do think there's always a compromise, and mum guilt is a massive thing. Whatever you're doing, you're always going to beat yourself up for it. I do have a very dynamic 21-year-old daughter who is killing it in her profession. She's so hardworking, and I know that's because of my influence, and she's so happy. So I think I've just about got the balance right. I used to take them to school every day. I used to pick them up on Fridays. I did reading in the school. I didn't do any of the uniforms or the costumes or any of that nonsense, but because I didn't have time. But and I used to take them to Ibiza every summer. This sounds hugely privileged, doesn't it? But it was I kind of took them with me everywhere. So I remember being at a festival with them. They were really small. I think David Guetta was headlining. I had no choice. I had no childcare. So off I trot. I think one was 4 and one was 2 to a David Guetta gig in Hyde Park. And I remember that day quite vividly because so many people were going, why have you brought the children with you? This is a place of work. I was like, I don't have any childcare. Do you want to look after them? And we got through it. They wore their ear cans. They stood on the side of stage. One of them nearly died. I don't know.
Just a small, a small thing.
But, but that's the thing. I had to wing and a prayer it a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But they got to travel with me all over the world. They got to be at backstages at these mega gigs, and it kind of planted a seed in their mind about success as well and what was possible. Yeah. And
that's no small thing.
I think it was a good example to them, and yet they still had to do their homework.
Yeah.
And I didn't let them off the hook on all of the things that they were expected to do. It didn't matter how rock and roll we were on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did I do it? There was no HR in these days. There was no real maternity leave. I mean, I had my daughter, and I remember they made me come in for a meeting. And as is always the case when you have a newborn, and I was breastfeeding, and I'm going to talk about breastfeeding. I was like leaking milk. So by the time I got into the office, I was like, and they were like, so are you leaving? And I was like, what? And they were like, are you leaving? And I was like, because obviously it's completely illegal these days. And I was like, well, why would I leave? I have a baby to support. And they were like, well, obviously you've had a baby. How can you manage it? And I was like, I'll manage it. And I remember just walking out there, and they were like, when are you coming back? I'm like, when I'm ready. It's funny, isn't it, when you say that you're quite self-deprivating, and then suddenly in these moments of severe stress and, actually unacceptable treatment, you find this power inside you to go, I'll work it out. Thanks a lot.
And you did?
And I did.
Fantastic. Is there an artist or a client that has inspired you the most to work with, and why?
I always talk about Frankie Knuckles. I have many, many amazing clients, so I just want to be clear, I love all of them. There's so many in different moments of my career that have been inspiring to me. But I think I really loved working with Frankie, mainly because he was just gorgeous. He was such a lovely human being. And he was very clear about how to treat people. And I always remember him telling me off for being drunk or being impolite or not saying thank you. He was big on manners. And he was big on also realising, I think there's a famous quote by him, isn't it? Once you think you're bigger than the music, you're finished. And this was the kind of guy he was. And he was a teacher. He was a special person, and he was a teacher, and he taught me a lot. And that whole Def Mix crew inspired me and taught me a lot. And also I love how real house music takes me to another place. And I was in New York last week, and I went to a reunion party, and they were playing real house music with vinyl. I was so happy.
Yeah.
Like in New York, dancing to real house music last week. And another artist that's really inspired me was obviously the Levelers, who was that band I ended up working for when I was 17. And we ran political campaigns and we fought the criminal justice bill, and they're just downright lovely human beings and not scared to challenge authority. And we're seeing a lot of this right now, aren't we? Where people are standing up to the governments and being arrested. They were the early adopters of this, if you like, where they were like, this law is wrong, we need to change it. It meant that we were bothered by the police quite a lot. But we didn't stop. And I've carried that through my whole career.
Yeah. Amazing. Looking to the present and the future, what artist on or off your roster are you really excited by, and why?
I'm really excited by our new signings. So we've got Sara Landry, Marlon Hofstadt and Maluji. And I've spoke about them a few times. Really love those guys.
I played with Marlon and Maluji during the early Club Heartbroken days in Cologne, and they're the same people, like such sweethearts, such angels.
But it's the whole thing. They're really focused on what they look, they feel. They love their audience. They take care of their fans. They're mindful. They're so informed. They're so mindful of their ticket prices for their audience. They can afford to go. They advocate for diverse lineups. Being headliners now, they tell promoters they're not going to play for them if they don't provide diverse lineups. They literally are leading the way with how it should be. Sarah's extremely intelligent, amazing, creative force, and I really, really want there to be a female headline DJ who's becomes as big as the big guys, because it needs to happen. We're close. We're closer than we've ever been, but we're not there yet. Obviously, it takes time and work. All these big guys that we keep seeing, including some of the artists that I represent, selling out arenas and stadiums, have legacy, and they spent 30 years getting to this point. You know, this is another thing. The DJ, everyone thinks, become a DJ, I should be headlining a Ushuaia within a year. David Guetta's taken 30 years to get to a stadium level artist, because he's taken his time.
Yeah.
And it's another thing I talk about a lot, which is with artists, that a career takes a moment.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be in a rush.
Absolutely. And when you look back, what do you know now about the industry that you wish you'd known when you first started?
That people generally in this business lie to your face.
Yeah.
And the only truth is the truth that you make.
Yeah.
So you can't really rely on people.
Yeah.
And so you have to rely on yourself.
Okay.
And the team that you build around you. But generally, I would say a lot of people are very, very, very bad at the truth in the music business. And that needs to change. I used to trust everybody and get let down quite a lot because I really value truth in people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, given that you're 30 years deep in this, what motivates you to keep on doing what you're doing?
Well, it's two things. One, the tunes, honestly. But for me, it was always about the live experience. My dad used to be a security guard at Wembley Arena and stadiums in my childhood. So I went to a lot of things that went through those venues when I was a kid. And I used to get to go backstage when I was quite young. And for me, it's the walking on stage moment and the first sound of the guitar or the first beat and the crowd. It's nothing like it. It's delicious and it's addictive. And I really like that magic that happens when there's the silence and then the roar. And I still haven't got bored of it. And so I can go through phases in my career where I'm like, oh, I'm done. This is it. Everyone can do one. And then I'll go to a gig and I'll be like, oh, I love my job. It's amazing. Oh, I just love doing this for a living. So, yeah, I love the live experience. It's really, for me, it's always been way better than the amount of records and acts sold, like just the live experience. Dancing around my front room, the live experience, being involved, with music, feeling, thinking. I don't know. I love music. So I'm still stuck, aren't I? I can't get away from it, no matter how much I try.
I feel like you're going to be until the end, you know? And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
And I guess on that note, we have come to the end of the episode. Maria, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode.
It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure's been all mine. Thank you for everyone to listening to this episode. Maria, you've inspired so many countless people with your work in the industry, always showing up as your authentic self, carving your own path and building a career on your own terms, despite all the challenges that come with it. Thank you for doing what you do, championing women, amplifying voices that need to be heard, and showing us how to kick doors down. You are what true leadership in the music industry looks like. So thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
I'm Kika Loma. This is Equal Beats, a podcast that peels back the curtain on the music industry. I hope this episode sheds some light onto the inner workings of artist management, labels and agencies, inspires people to become agents and managers themselves, and helps artists find the perfect team to shape their careers. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.